All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can get your meeting started.
Okay, guys, we're going to call this meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. June 20. First of all, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Wednesday, June 24th, 2020. Calling the West Warwick Zoning Board a review to order. I guess we're going to try to do the Pledge of Allegiance. You guys want to try to do that or no?
No.
Yes.
Okay. Do the ayes have it or do the nays have it?
I don't vote.
As a course of practice, Mike, we haven't been doing them in any of the other town meetings, council meeting, anything else.
Okay.
So,
All right, why don't we go right to roll? Why don't we go right to roll call then? Okay. All right, Paula. Why don't we go right to roll call?
You got to unmute.
hold on
yourself.
1 second. Paula is muted, so she needs to unmute herself.
Alan Horick,
Here.
Amy Ortiz,
Here.
Peter Kelsey,
Peter is here.
Richard Banks,
Yeah.
Justin Kuchu,
Here.
and Michael McPhillips.
Oh,
Here.
yes.
There is a quorum on record.
Okay, great. The next item on the agenda is going to be the minutes of the February 26, 2020 Zoning Board of Review meeting. If there's any commentaries, questions, needs, corrections, additions, go for it, right? Go for it at the present time.
Motion to approve.
Who said that? I can't hear it.
Al.
Oh,
I think.
Make a
Peter
motion to
wants
approve the
say
minutes.
I think Peter wants to say something, but he's muted.
Alan, do you want to make a motion to approve?
Sure, I would make a motion to approve the minutes of the February 26, 2020 zoning board of review meeting.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, the next thing we're going to move
Vote,
is to,
Mike, you're gonna call a vote.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? No nays. Okay, moving on. We're going to accept the minutes of the meeting from February 26, 2020.
Mr. Chairman, before you
Yep.
before you begin the agenda, the petition, item number 10, petition 2020-5, the applicant is Christopher Taylor. That matter, by agreement of the parties, is continued to date and time certain of July 29, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the town hall of the town of West Warwick, or by Zoom webinar, depending on executive orders of the governor of the state of Rhode Island and the town manager of the town of West Warwick at the time of hearing.
Okay. We have to vote on that or no? Or is that just more of a commentary you're telling us?
That's just a continuance by agreement.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, now we're going to go to petition number 2020-3. The applicant is Villanova Realty Development LLC. The owner is Villanova Realty Development LLC. Premises is 550 Wakefield Street, plat lots 38, lot 21, 22, 124, and portion of 19. The proposed use is kind of an interesting one, to reconsider the original decision of the hot box to be buried with manhole cover to be amended for the hot box to be installed above grade instead of below grade in compliance with the Kent County Water Authority regulations and Rhode Island Plumbing Code, both then and now.
Mr. Chairman, I have marked as exhibits the petition, exhibit number 1, the petition to amend the decision, exhibit number 2, the radius map, exhibit number 3, the abutters list, and exhibit number 4, 2 packets of service of notice.
Okay, so we have the green cards then.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. Is somebody here on the applicant
Chase.
side?
Joel
Say again?
Chase.
Yes, Joel
Okay.
Chase.
Okay.
I'm counsel for the owner, applicant, and petitioner, which is the Villanova Realty Development LLC.
Okay. Fire away with what you have to say, my friend.
To be somewhat brief, back in 2014, this board had a hearing on the petitioner's application for special use permit for construction of 17 single-family condo dwelling units on the subject property. And in a written decision by the board in October of 14, the permit was granted with conditions. We're here tonight because condition number 4 required the hot box to be buried with manhole covers. And both at the time of the decision and throughout the time to this very day, both the Kent County Water Authority regs and the state plumbing code prohibited these boxes from being buried and required them to be installed above ground. And to be more specific, it's section 6.1.3 of the Kent County Water Authority Cross Connection Control Program regs, both then and now. And regarding the state plumbing code, it's section 608.7, which is entitled valves and outlets prohibited below grade. So condition 4 was obviously at that time and now contrary to those regs in the code, rendering compliance with the condition impossible. And of course, the state regs and the code are superior to the decision. So we're requesting that the board reconsider that condition number 4 and amend it, basically eliminating it, therefore allowing the hot box to be installed above grade in compliance with the stated regs in code.
Mr. Chairman, on that matter, I was naturally the attorney at the meeting. Neither myself nor the then attorney for Villanova, it was not Mr. Chase, it was another attorney. We were unaware of that, those regulations, and no objection was raised. As a matter of fact, the request came from a third attorney and it was granted. I am in complete agreement with Mr. Chase that we have no choice but to remove that provision from the amend the decision to remove that provision. For the board's information, the hot box that is presently there is covered by a building. The building has been inspected by our building official and it meets all building code requirements. So everything is now in total compliance with the regulations. And I urge the board to amend the decision by deleting stipulation number 4.
Any questions, guys?
Just a question for Al. So the condo's already built and everything's there.
Yeah, this
The
is
box is above ground now.
yeah.
Right.
Alan, what happened was when the contractor went to put the box in underground, he was told by Kent County Water Authority, hey, you can't do that. He didn't realize that the zoning board had told him he had to do it.
Right.
So he put it above ground, and the building official then called me and said, hey, we got a problem. The zoning board says it's supposed to be underground. It's above ground, and he's not allowed to put it underground. So at that point in time, I spoke with Mr. Chase. Mr. Chase agreed with me that he would cover the box, and he would, to protect our building office, come forward before the board and ask that it be amended so that our building office was not out there ignoring a requirement of the zoning board. All of that has been done. Mr. Chase agreed to have our building official go out and make sure that the building that is covering the hot box meets all code standards. So everything is in compliance, and now it's just a matter of, I'll say, correcting a decision as opposed to amending it.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys? Thanks, Alan.
That was John Bernero who asked for that, right?
Yeah,
As I recall.
yeah. Mike, by the way, under the open meetings laws and the executive orders on these matters, you have to take a roll call vote.
Oh, okay. Even for a stipulation like this?
For everything.
Okay. All right, Alan, you want to read it out like you normally do?
Sure.
Put you on the spot. Sorry, bud.
What'd I do, Mike? Okay.
Motion-
I got to, We have
Motion to
I
amend
mean,
the
I
decision.
mean, well, we gotta close the discussion first for, are there any other questions for the attorney? No other questions for the attorney, right, guys?
No, sir.
I think we're all in agreement. We're all in agreement that we don't have any other questions. Obviously, we don't have anybody who's going to make any commentary from out in the audience. No audience members here today. So we're going to close the discussion and go right into reading it out, Alan. Okay, like we normally do, and then we'll
Motion
take
to
the roll call
close.
vote. Say we're going to vote in favor.
Motion to close.
Yeah, I'm making a motion to close. I'll make the motion.
I'll
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Roll call.
Roll. Hey, Pete.
Peter
Roll call.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Alan Warwick,
Yes.
Richie Banks,
Yes.
Justin Kuchu,
Yes.
Amy Ortiz,
Yes.
and Michael McPhillips.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
That matter's all set.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
moving on to the, what's up?
I said, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome, Joe. Have a nice night.
You too.
Did we have a motion
Welcome.
for the approval, or was that a motion just to
That
close
was
the
the
meeting?
motion to close.
Right.
No,
You gotta take a motion to approve the amendment.
Okay. So this is petition 2020-3, applicant and owner Villanova Realty Development LLC, 550 Wakefield Street. Seeking to amend a prior decision of the West Warwick Zoning Board of Review that was originally granted on September 24th, 2014. I'll make a motion to approve the request to amend that prior decision.
Second.
okay, any commentary,
Second.
questions, discussions amongst us? Not hearing any. Go ahead, Paula, with the roll call.
Peter Kelsey,
Yes.
Alan Warwick,
Yes.
Richie Banks,
Yes.
Justin Kuchu,
Yes.
Amy Ortiz,
Yes.
Michael McPhillips.
Yes.
I think my cat wants to vote.
What's that?
My cat got up here to vote.
Oh, okay. Hopefully your cat was in approval. Okay, I guess you're all set now, Joel, okay? All right, let's move on to the next petition. Petition 2019-13, applicant Quality Realty LLC, which is actually a continuance from March 25th, 2020. The owner is Keys Partners LLC, premises 40 Keys Way, plat 30, lot 51, zone BP. Proposed use, the applicant is seeking a special use variance for warehouse, general, and refrigerated food processing and kindred manufacturing, processing, or packaging under section, quotations, non-resident use regulation, LI, food and kindred manufacturing, processing, or packaging, and K6, warehousing, general, and or refrigerated of the zoning ordinance of the town of West Warwick as amended.
Mr. Chairman, I previously have marked at a previous hearing in October, exhibits 1 through 6. I now have marked exhibit number 7, the continuance decision of December 4th, 2019. Exhibit number 8, a letter from attorney Chris O'Connor on December 3rd, 2019. Exhibit number 9, the continuance decision of February 26th, 2020. Exhibit number 10, a letter from attorney O'Connor at March 12, 2020. Exhibit number 11, a photo of the proposed building. Exhibit number 12, the floor plan, the proposed floor plan. Exhibit number 13, the proposed elevations, and exhibit number 14, the site plan.
Because this is industrial, they don't need green cards, right? Al,
No, they've been filed.
say again?
They were filed. That's all set.
Okay, thank
I
you.
think everyone has to have one, right, Al?
Yeah, it's all set
Okay,
because of the executive orders.
okay. Do we have, somebody
Chris?
representing the,
Chris O'Connor?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. My name is Chris O'Connor. I'm an attorney at Poor and Rosenbaum in Providence.
okay,
My address is 30 Exchange Terrace. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant. We did appear before you at February 26th. I have with me tonight 3 individuals who will speak to the application.
okay,
I have Bill Cotoro, William Cotoro, who is the owner of, he's a principal of Quality Realty, but it's really Quality Food. That is the ultimate business that will be located here. We also have President Jeff Pratt, who is with CMC Design Build, Massachusetts. The documents that Mr. DiFiore has marked as 11, 12, 13, and 14 documents that were generated by CMC. We also have with us Douglas McLean, who is a planner. We're submitting him as an expert, and all 3 are here to speak to this application, certainly answer any questions the board members have, and any questions.
okay,
Mike,
yep.
I'm not hearing clearly. I didn't hear the council very clearly. Is he breaking up for other people?
Oh, yeah, he's
Yes.
breaking up. He was breaking up on me a little bit too, yes. To answer your
Okay.
question, yeah, he was breaking up on me too. You're not the only one in that boat.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, let me see what I can do to improve my. Sound. Can you hear me now? Better?
Yes.
That's a little better. That's a little better.
So I'll do my best to speak up and speak loud. I don't, this is a new format for me, so if I'm yelling, please let me know. So
Most of what you said was clear. It was just a couple little points that it wasn't.
okay. So without further ado, I do have Mr. Coro here who can speak to not just the application, but he can speak to what's being proposed for this site. He again is president of Quality Food, which is located in Providence. The plan here essentially is to move what is a family business and has been in business since 1931 from Providence to in the business park area. Bill, can you introduce, or would you introduce yourself to the board members?
Well, wait a minute. What's his name, Chris?
Bill.
Bill or
Bill.
William?
Bill, would you raise your right hand? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Would you state and spell your name and position with the company, please?
My name's William Cotoro Jr. Did you say spell it?
Yes, please.
William, last name Cotoro, Catauro Jr. And I'm the president and owner of Quality Food Company.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Bill, would you explain to the board members what it is that Quality Food does?
Well, essentially, we're a food distributor. We're not a manufacturer, and we do what we call processing is probably not exactly processing. All we do is take basically a loin or like a tenderloin or something, and we cut it up and then we package it and we sell it to restaurants. So it's not in your true sense of manufacturing. We're not adding anything to it, but that's a very small part of what we do. It's probably less than 2% of our overall sales. So 98% of what I do is I bring product in and I ship it out to a lot of the ethnic restaurants in the tri-state area. We have 17 straight trucks on the road. We have 1 trailer. Again, like Chris said, the company's been in my family since 1931. My father started the company up on Federal Hill, went to my uncle and my dad, and then I bought it from my uncles and my father about in 1998. Well, I've been there since 1998. I'm a former CPA. I was in public accounting for 6 years. And then I decided to get back into the business. I was there for like 12 years. So currently we're in Providence, Rhode Island. We've been there since probably 1970. We are landlocked, and I need to expand my business for the sake of my customers and my employees. We have 82 employees currently.
Are you bringing all your employees is your plan to bring all of your employees to West Warwick with you?
Yes, so my employees, and that's part of the reason why I want to be fairly close to Providence, because I really don't want to lose any of my employees right now. But the goal is to expand further. We put an expansion on in 2010, and we basically doubled our workforce. So a conservative estimate is that I'm going to be adding, I would say, at least 40 jobs in the next 5 to 10 years.
40 in addition to the 80?
I'm sorry, what?
40 in addition to the 80?
Yes.
Okay. And what kind of jobs, could you just give us examples of the type of jobs, the range of salary, income for these types of positions?
I don't pay anyone minimum wage. Everyone is at least $14 to $15 per hour start, 2 weeks vacation, 75% medical paid, profit sharing, and 401k. I have salesmen that are making in excess of $250,000. I have warehouse workers, drivers that make $75,000. It's a very labor intensive business. I have to pay in order to get good people. It's just the type of business that you have to do, and it's just like anything else. You want to retain your employees if you want to be successful. So it's not a minimum wage. It's not it's not manufacturing product line, just making gizmos or whatever. It's not the type of business this is. What else can I tell you about the business? Again, we don't do manufacturing. We don't do rendering. We have a very small footprint as far as we don't have any smells. As far as transportation goes, my trucks are out all day long. We do load at early in the evening, and usually, like recently, my night crew has been coming in at 5 o'clock, and they're done loading all my trucks by 11, 12 o'clock at night. So the facility is basically shut down from say 1 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock 1 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay. And well, strike that. Can you tell us what it is that you're proposing for Westwood?
Essentially, what I need to do is right now we're in 32,000 square feet of space in Providence, right next to the Foundry and off of Promenade Street, in between the Blood Center and the Foundry. Again, I'm landlocked. I have to move. I really don't have a choice. If it's not West Warwick, it's got to be somewhere else. I want to build. At a very minimum, I want to build 50,000 square feet with the expansion potential of 100,000 square feet. And this lot and this location is ideal for my purposes.
Okay. You mentioned trucks. You have trucks. How many trucks would you estimate that you have and will be bringing?
I have 17 trucks on the road right now.
Okay. And these trucks are trucks that will be housed in West Warwick if the board to grant.
Davey, what? I'm sorry.
And these trucks are trucks that you will bring to West Warwick, and if the board sees fit to grant the special use permit tonight.
Absolutely, and they'd be on the property tax base of West Warwick.
Okay.
They're all leases, but the property taxes will be paid in obviously where the company is domiciled.
Okay. How about the location? Is it suitable for what you need?
In my opinion, the location's ideal for exactly what I need.
Why is that?
It has the right space. It's right off the highway because I do most of my business in Rhode Island, but I also do business out to Hartford, Connecticut, and up to Hooksett, New Hampshire. So it's actually easy highway access is very important to me. But most of my concentration is in Rhode Island, So I want to service South County more so than I am doing now.
Okay.
Providence has just become very difficult to do business in. And again, I'm landlocked. I can't expand my business there.
Okay. And I had a question and I just lost it. I'm sorry. The with respect to the location in Providence, have you ever had any complaints from the city, the abutters, the businesses that are in close proximity or residential area?
I've never had it, and no. The answer is no. I'm a small business owner. I try to do what's right for my neighbors and my employees. I understand the concerns people have. I do whatever I can to be accommodating. It's basically very black and white for me.
Okay.
And it's just, go ahead.
And just a couple of questions. You're a wholesale distributor, correct?
We're a wholesale food distributor, yes.
You don't generally do retail on the site, correct?
No, I don't do retail. What I do is I do have a cash and carry, but it's primarily for my customers, my food service and retail. When you say retail, it's not a Dave's Market. That's not retail to me. When I say retail, it's a Spanish bodega that sells meat and stuff. It's not a restaurant. That's what I consider retail. I'm not going to be Dave's. I'm not going to be Dave's competition. So you're not going to see customers walking in and out of my building all day long. The only customers you're going to see walking in and out of my building are my customer base that forgot to order something that did not get delivered. So they ran out of something, right? They need a box of tenderloins, but it's too late for today's delivery. So they're going to come in, they're going to pick it up, and they're going to run down the street and prepare it for their customer in the restaurant.
Okay.
Very low traffic. If the question is, it's very low traffic.
Okay. And with respect to your proposal and your application, have you heard from any abutters with respect to what you're proposing?
I have. I actually know the owners of the hospitality company next door.
Okay.
Both Tommy and Dennis, and actually Alex is a relative through marriage, believe it or not. So I have had numerous discussions with them. I know they're not 100% on board with this. I believe their concerns are a little unfounded, to be perfectly honest with you. I've done everything I possibly can to ease their fears that, I'm going to be a nuisance. I'm not going to be a nuisance.
Okay.
I've gone out of my way to assure them I won't be a nuisance. And I've told them I would be as accommodating as possible when it comes to lighting and noise and the backup alarms on my trucks. I'll switch my backup alarms on my trucks to be white noise alarms, which has, according to OSHA, has been found to be just as effective, but far less noisy. And we've also, with the help of Jeff Pratt, we've also configured the building on the property, whereas my truck court is on the complete opposite side of the hotel. And we're proposing a 40-foot structure within the zoning, and it's an insulated structure. So for that noise to get over to the hotel is going to be very, very difficult,
Okay.
especially if it's a white noise backup alarm.
So you have spoke to the people or the group, the partners that own the hotel that is next to this vacant property, correct?
Numerous times.
And you knew them even prior to the proposal, right?
My entire life.
And you mentioned names, first names, but Dennis and Tom. Is that Dennis Dupreet and Tom Dupreet?
Yes.
And Alex, what's Alex's last name?
Petrucci. He's my aunt's brother.
And you met with these folks to discuss what it is, if you could satisfy any perceived concerns on their part?
I've met with them numerous times. They're obviously, their concern is that I'm going to devalue their property, to be perfectly honest with you. And I don't think that's the case. If anything, I can actually bring business to their facility, because I have inbound truckers coming from all over the country that are looking for a place to stay. I mean, that's what they do. They're a hospitality suite. It's not Newport. It's a price-based hotel. And that's
Got it.
what my guys, and that's what my vendors want. I've done everything I possibly can to ease their fear.
And the overriding issue, though, that they have raised with you is the potential of noise. Is that right?
Yes.
And you, as an accommodation or work with them, have said, as you just said, that with respect to your trucks, you can switch the backup alarms to be concerned about, so that they didn't make those very loud beep, beep, beeping noise, correct?
Correct. At a very low cost, I can switch out all 17 backup alarms and do white noise. If you go on YouTube and you search white noise backup alarms, you can do your research on it. It's very effective, OSHA approved, and it's very simple to do.
Okay. And building as it's being proposed, you mentioned that the loading bays, that would be, those would be facing east, correct?
No, I think they're facing west, aren't they? They're facing away from Cotty's.
Away from,
If I can make
Oh, no, I'm
mention,
sorry. Is that, I
Excuse
honestly
me.
don't know.
sure.
there's you have three large papers that show us a layout.
Yes.
One shows the parking docks facing east, which is all by itself, and the other, which is on the plan for the entire project, shows it facing west. So
It can only
I think
there's
that-
only one plan, so I don't.
Well, I don't know if you can see this.
Jeff can probably speak to that, but I'm pretty sure
This-
it's facing
I
west.
know, but I'm going to
It's
tell
complete-
you what's on here.
It's
I'm gonna
facing
tell
the
you what's on
opposite
there.
direction of the hotel.
Right, so this is no good. This is saying it's facing east.
I don't know what this is. Who's
That's
talking?
just the dock elevation right there that you held up.
Oh, that's the dock elevation. They can't, that's not even showing any direction. The dock is facing in the opposite direction of the hotel.
Proposed east elevation. Whatever.
Yes,
One- one
That's a
you're
typo.
looking at the east.
I
That's a-
understand that. I'm bringing it up for clarification. Thank you.
And thank you. We can clarify that. So let's hold on a second so that we're all not talking at the same time. So Bill has referenced Jeff and Jeff Pratt, who is, and I actually referenced him as well. And Jeff is here tonight. He's logged in. He's with CMC. Jeff, can you just introduce yourself for a moment?
Sure. Jeff Pratt with CMC Design Build.
And
Jeff, could you raise your right hand?
Yes,
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes,
And that's Pratt?
correct.
And who are you with?
CMC Design Build.
And what is your occupation?
I'm a project planner.
Okay,
And so Jeff, you, as part of your involvement in this project, actually, why don't you explain to the board what your involvement is in the project?
Sure. So CMC Design Build, we're a full service design build firm. We work nationally. All we do is design and build food, cold storage, distribution facilities, processing facilities. And so Mr. Catoro is our client. We've actually worked with Billy in the past on his current location. And so we've been working with him to provide the conceptual planning, early planning here for this.
Okay. And Jeff, there's been some reference to plans or documents. And so let's walk through that slowly, just so if there is an error, we can clear it. And I believe the solicitor marked and referenced.
Oh, you're breaking up, Chris.
Yeah, definitely breaking up.
Okay. So the solicitor has referenced exhibit numbers. Exhibit 12 is the floor plan. Exhibit 13 is the proposed elevation, and Exhibit 14 is the site plan. So, the board members just reference, I think, it's the elevation. So you have the documents in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. And with respect to the elevation, perhaps you can just clarify for us if there is how it's marked or what direction it's facing. Can you what the proposed layout of this building is?
Was that directed to me, Chris? You're breaking up quite a bit.
It is directed to you.
Just repeat that. You're going in and out.
Sure. So my question was, if you could just walk the board through the exhibits that have been marked 12, 12 and 13, explain the layout of the building, what's being proposed, where it is with respect to the hotel and any other abutting properties.
Sure. Yep. So if you look at the exhibit, that is the site plan showing the building and the parking pavement areas. You'll see that right off Keys Way in the front of the site. We've got the employee parking planned there, and if you cross-reference with the building floor plan, you'll see that the office is up front there where the parking is. And then essentially the warehouse and distribution component would be to the south, and the docks there are on the west. And the hotel is on the east. So our intention is to put the truck court on the opposite side of the 40-foot structure, thus, blocking any truck traffic from the hotel's location.
Okay, so Jeff, the document that's marked as the elevation, and I believe it's marked Exhibit 13, it shows in the top of that document a series of docks, correct?
Correct.
Under it, there's a notation that it is the proposed east elevation.
Yeah, so that would be when you're looking east. So if you're in the truck court and you look at the face of the docks, that's the east elevation.
All right. And if you had your back to the docks, you would be looking in the west direction, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So that's some clarification regarding why that notation says proposed east elevation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. And again, why is the loading docks, why is the building designed in the proposal the way it is with the loading docks in the location that they're in?
Yeah, so the concept is that we wanted to locate the truck court, excuse me, and the loading docks as far away from the neighbors as we could, and utilize the 40-foot tall building to block, essentially block all that activity from the hotel neighbors. Excuse me.
And you made reference to the office. That's the space that would be closest to the hotel. Is that fair to say? So on the opposite side of the building?
That's correct.
And that would be obviously the least intensive use of the building, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Is there anything else that you can add with respect or wish to add with respect to the exhibits and what's being proposed?
I don't think so, unless there's any questions.
I just have one miscellaneous type question. So with respect to what's being proposed, the size, the layout, you had indicated that your company, CMC, this is what you do, these types of facilities, correct?
Correct.
So you don't do hospitals, you don't do schools or anything like
Right.
that. So in terms of the size of this facility, how does it compare with the size of your other clients or other facilities that you work with?
I would say it's on the smaller scale. You know, these facilities range, you know, typically from, you know, what we're contemplating here, you know, up to 500,000 square feet, you know, 700,000 square feet. You know, the US Foods and Discos of the world, you know, build, you know, 500,000, 750,000 square foot facilities.
Okay. I don't have any other questions for Mr. Pratt. Certainly, if anyone has questions along the way, they can jump in and ask him. I just wanted to finish up with a few questions with Bill Cotoro, the owner. Bill, if the board should see fit to grant the special use permits, you certainly are willing to cooperate with not just the town, but any abutters with respect to things like landscaping, noise, and any other potential issue, correct?
Absolutely. We've had numerous discussions regarding that. Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, the other witness, the last witness we have is Doug McLean. And Doug is a planner. And Doug, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Doug McLean. If you want to have me sworn in, go ahead.
Yes, please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And spell your last name, please.
McLean.
And your profession.
Professional planner in the state of Rhode Island.
Thank you.
Yep.
Doug, where are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed with the city of Cranston.
Okay. And do you have a CV that you can post?
I do. In fact, if Joe from the town is still on the line, if you allow a screen share from me, I can do that.
Doug, you should be able to do it from the bottom row of your computer screen. You should be able
There we
to
go. Yep.
see a green pop-up.
I do. I see it now. I'm now ready to do that.
Okay, it's all yours.
All right. All right, everybody, are you able to see the screen share on my end? You should see my screen.
Yep, you're good.
All right, great. How is everyone able to hear me all right?
Yes.
I can hear.
Great. So again, just as a means of brief introduction, I'm a professional planner in the state of Rhode Island. My role here today is to provide evidence and findings in support of the special use permit criteria. I'm showing on the screen right now my resume that just don't intend to spend much time here, but you know, for purposes of there's questions or anyone wants to revisit, and this is also submitted for the record. I've been a professional planner for 13 years in the state for a variety of different municipalities as well as in the private sector. I've received my certification through the American Institute of Certified Planners, have that for over 10 years. My day-to-day work is to review applications against municipal code and policy and write recommendations. Before I move forward with my review of the project, I just wanted to ask.
Excuse me, Chris, you're going to ask him to be qualified as an expert?
I am, Al. Yeah.
Mike, the board will have to take a vote on whether or not he's qualified as an expert.
Let's make a motion on that.
Yes, motion to qualify him as an expert.
I'll make a motion to qualify as an expert.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Roll call.
Any discussion or vote? Want to vote? All in favor?
Based on his,
Roll call, Mike.
Roll call.
Paul,
Go ahead,
roll
Paul.
call.
Uh, Alan Horak,
Yes.
Peter Kelsey,
Yes.
Richard Banks,
Yes.
Justin Tucci,
Yes.
Amy Ortiz,
Yes.
Michael McPhillips.
Yes.
Great, thank you. I'll go ahead and proceed if you're all right with that. Again, what you're seeing on my screen share is just a brief shot of my resume. It's submitted for the record. Also, you should see on my screen as I'm scrolling through, I've got copies of the site plan and other graphics that I'll refer to. And just very quickly, before I jump into my review of the, the specific standards for a special use permit, I'll just provide a little background on how I've learned about this project and the materials I used to research this and develop my findings. I did conduct an interview with the business owner about the general operations of what he's got in Providence, as well as what he is proposing in West Warwick. I have reviewed the site in person. I have reviewed GIS data through the town of West Warwick site. I've reviewed all of the application materials as you've seen in front of you, as well as multiple sections of the town code, including the zoning ordinance, the comprehensive plan, and other code of ordinances with the town. That has provided me with the information that I've developed for my findings and conclusions about the project today. As you're aware, there are two uses that are being sought that require a special use permit through the Zoning Board of Review. Those two uses are food and kindred manufacturing, processing, or packaging, and warehousing, general and/or refrigerated. There's a requirement to submit evidence and make findings in support of 5 different criteria for a special use permit. Those are to be compatible with neighboring land uses, to not create a nuisance in the neighborhood, to not hinder the future development of the town, to conform to all applicable sections of this ordinance, and to be in conformance with the purposes and intent of the West Warwick Comprehensive Plan and applicable standards of this ordinance, as you may be familiar. So I just intend to go through this. I've got a couple of speaking points and some graphics that I'm going to reference. I really don't want to create an eyesore for you or make everybody read, but I'll just suggest that all of my details that I'm going to provide are provided in a written format, as you're seeing here as I'm scrolling through them. If there are questions, I'm happy to revisit any of these in more detail, but I don't want you to strain your eyes, and it's not a great format in order to exchange that. But these talking points are available, and the written text here is available for further review, and it's available on the record if needed.
Mr. McLean, excuse me, Al DiFiore, is it possible for you to submit those written requests to Paula?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's something I'm happy to do.
I would appreciate if you do that. Send them to Paula. Thank you.
Yep.
So Mr. DiFiore, before Doug continues, he's identified his CV, which he can also provide to Paula, and he can produce the what he's about to review. Because we're referring to them, can we mark them as exhibits as well?
Yes, they would be all of his submissions will be exhibit number 15.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So without further ado, I'll just begin with a review of the project, and I would just call attention as we begin to this map, which, as you can see, I screenshot from the town of West Warwick's GIS system. This is the subject property that you see outlined in the center of the image. It is within the heart of the business park district, and you can see some of the dynamics of the lot as its relationship to surrounding buildings. I would just call out that the nearest residential district is over here in this corner. The nearest residential structure is over 1,400 feet away. Just wanted to give a little context on the site, the zoning, and the vicinity. And without belaboring any more map review, I'm actually gonna momentarily turn off the screen share function and return back just so I have a little, bring my face back in front of you guys while I'm speaking here. Again, if you'd like to revisit any of those details, I'm happy to go back and revisit them. The proposed project is located in the Business Park Zoning District, which was established for the expressed intent of expanding business uses in the town. I think one thing that's important to note is that we're not reviewing this project in a vacuum. The special use criteria are being applied for a project that's seeking approval in the Business Park District. That's important to note because that establishes the context for what should be considered compatible with other uses, what should be considered a nuisance in a business park district that has been established by the town for the expressed intent of expanding business use in the town. And I would note that this is a project that has separation from other residential uses. All of the abutting properties are also located in the business park district. I'll just continue with the compatibility with neighboring uses as one of the findings. Some of the findings that I have there are a variety of existing land uses in this area, particularly abutting the subject lot. There is a hotel, there's an awning and sunroom sales operation. There is a large-scale construction equipment sales and rental company. There's a dog kennel. There is a Cox Communications corporate office complex. So really, there's no single type or scale of business that defines this area. It's really a wide variety. I would say further, based on my review of the uses and standards allowed in the business park district, it's clear this district is intended to allow for a wide range of businesses, industrial and manufacturing uses that can operate at very large scales and at high intensities. I would also suggest, and as you've heard from the applicant himself, Mr. William Cataro, he provided you with information on what type of process he does include in his operation. The only thing that you could define as processing on site would be repackaging meat products. There's no additives or chemicals that are utilized in his repackaging process. So really, he's taking in product into the store, he's repackaging, he's reportioning, and he's putting those products back out. That is the extent to which his use is going to be defined as a food and kindred manufacturing, processing, or packaging. The proposed uses will not exceed the town of West Warwick standards for the size or location of the building, or the level of anticipated traffic at the site, or the level of noise to the surrounding properties. We will remain within the town of West Warwick standards of review for all of those items. With that being said, based on those findings, it's my professional opinion that there is sufficient evidence to demonstrate that the proposed project will be compatible with neighboring uses. Unless you have questions, and please do interject if you do, I'm going to move right to the next standard of review for a special use permit. The next standard would be to not create a nuisance in the neighborhood. I'm sorry, was there a question?
No.
Okay. This one I'd say I spent more time on than the others. I think the nuisance question came up because we do have an interested abutter, the hotel use, which I think is very interested in this question. They are interested in the potential for noise coming from this site. So the findings that I've made with relation to the finding of not creating a nuisance in the neighborhood, the proposed building has been located as far away from the roadway and abutting land uses as possible. In fact, it's well in excess of the required zoning setbacks. The trucking activity is located at the corner of the site that is as far away from the hotel use as possible, and that is being limited by a large stormwater basin on the property. But basically, they are as far back as they can get. So their site design is as kind to the abutters and those considerations as possible. As you've heard, no retail sales of the products will occur at this site, which limits the overall traffic volume on and off the property. The proposed uses will not create any odor, vibration, or particulates. The only element of the business that will result in noise is the backup alarms from the delivery vehicles. And based on my interviews with the business owner, approximately 80% of the trucks coming on and off the site are controlled by Quality Realty and will be equipped with the white noise backup technology to reduce the sound of those backup alarms. The majority of employees coming on and off the site, or the wholesale cash and carry customers, those few customers that would come for those pickups when they miss their delivery. Those will occur between the hours of 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. The majority of trucking activity on the site will occur between the hours of 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So this is largely a daytime type of activity with some limited hours in the evening. According,
what were the hours on the customers again?
the customers and the employees are going to be on and off the site, the majority of them between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Thank you.
Yep. As has been brought up, the site was designed with the idea that the building itself would shield the trucking activity from the nearest abutting use, which is the hotel use to the east. This is not just, an idea of a novel idea. There's actually, according to federal standards on noise mitigation, specifically the Federal Highway Administration's document, the Audible Landscape, a manual for highway noise and land use, specifically physical techniques to reduce noise impacts. Noise mitigation is most successfully achieved by placing an object or obstacle between the source of the noise and the receiver. Essentially, you're looking to stop a direct line of sight between the noise and the receiver, and that's exactly how this site is designed. All of the trucking activity, there will be no direct line of sight between trucking activity and the hotel use. There will be, addition to the building, there will be landscaping along the eastern edge of the property to further buffer noise and serve as an aesthetic screen to that property to the east, which is the hotel. I would note that I have reviewed the town's noise ordinance in terms of its Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12, Article 3. It does not include any provisions that would limit noise in any commercial district in the town, which includes the Business Park District. So it should be noted that while the applicant has proposed truck backup technology and a site design that would greatly reduce noise at the property boundaries, and that's in an effort to be a good neighbor, the town's policy on noise does not establish any regulatory limitations within the Business Park District. So based on a review of the town's zoning code use regulations, it's clear the business park was not intended for passive, quiet, or small scale uses. Just by a means of examples of other uses that would be allowed by right without the need for a special use permit, there could be a hospital, a clinic, an animal shelter, a landscape or horticultural service, a garden center, manufacturing of textile mill products, manufacturing of lumber or wood products. And that's just to give a sampling of some of the different uses. Medical marijuana, cooperative cultivation. These are uses that could go in by right at that site. Additionally, the business park zone specifically targets large scale uses. There's a number of uses in the code that are allowed by special use permit if the use is under 50,000 square feet of floor area. But if that use is over 50,000 square feet of floor area, then that use is allowed by right. So that is targeting large scale businesses. So an example, if you are over 50,000 square feet of floor area, then a lumber or building materials dealer can go in there, a hardware store, mobile home dealer, fish and meat market, if they're that big, can go in by right. A number of other activities, including warehousing, general and/or refrigerated, which is one of the uses being sought by the applicant tonight. The only reason why that's in front of you is because that it is short of a 50,000 square foot of contiguous undivided land floor area of that building. So the applicant, as has stated, has received no complaints from the abutting properties at its current location in Providence, which includes the same activities without that backup noise technology, and they are located about 50 feet away from their direct abutting uses. And I would note in their current location, they're about 400 feet away from the nearest residential use. At the proposed site, the trucking activity would be located about 400 feet from the nearest abutting property line to the hotel. Just to give a sense of scale and how this use has played out in its current location versus what are the conditions of the proposed location. So based on the above statements and findings, it's my professional opinion that there is sufficient evidence to demonstrate that the proposed project will not create a nuisance in the neighborhood. And further, it will not create undue adverse impacts to the surrounding properties based on the setting and expectations of the business park district. Before I move on to the next item, I just wanted to check if anyone had any questions at this time.
I have a lot of questions, but we're going to wait till your presentation is over.
Yeah, we'll wait till the end.
Sounds fine with me. So the next standard is to not hinder the future development of the town. My findings with regard to this is the property is currently vacant and not being utilized for any beneficial use to the community. The surrounding roadways are well equipped for the anticipated levels of traffic and use of delivery vehicles. The property has direct and efficient access to major highways, which is a major draw for this particular applicant. And the Rhode Island DEM has permitted the project and shows it will not have an adverse impact on the wetland resources on the site. Based on those above findings, it is my professional opinion that there is sufficient evidence to demonstrate the proposed project will not hinder the future development of the town. Moving to the next item, that is the finding to conform to all applicable sections of this ordinance. And I'd like to begin just by reading what the zoning ordinance code has in terms of the special provisions applicable to the business park district. And I don't mean to belabor, but I do think that this particular paragraph is worth reading from the zoning code word for word. So this is the purpose, intent, and applicability of the business park district. In addition to the purposes of this zoning ordinance, as established in Article 1, Section 2 of the zoning code ordinance, this business park district is specifically created to promote private investment, to expand the tax base, and development of employment-intensive businesses and those associated businesses which provide beneficial goods and services to such employment centers, and therefore need to be near such employment centers. As such, access to major roadways and non-interference with residential neighborhoods are essential to fulfillment of the purpose of this district. Therefore, only property which meets the following conditions should be classified as a business park district: no street access to a roadway with residential development located thereon, no property with existing residential or enterprise exempt from town taxes located thereon, and access to a major arterial which has immediate access to the interstate highway system. So I would note that this project does meet all of those criteria as defined in the code. And further, as you've heard the applicant already state, this project is well aligned with the specific intent of the business park zoning district as stated in the ordinance. The total estimated investment of this project without land acquisition costs is about $6.5 to $7 million. Within about 5 to 10 years, this project will bring approximately 105 to 120 full-time employees into the town of West Warwick. Approximately 40 to 60 of those positions will be new hires due to the operations relocation and growth. Jobs resulting from this project will consist of a wide range of pay scales. As you've heard the applicant submit, they're not paying anybody minimum wage. They pay approximately $14 an hour for warehouse employees. Truckers are making about $50,000 to $75,000 a year, and their top sales staff are making upwards of $150,000 a year. So there's a range of different job scales and types available for through this project. The overall tax value to the town will increase significantly as a result of the property improvements and the business operations intangibles. And then based on my review of the other sections of the zoning code, the proposed project will conform to all other applicable sections of the ordinance, including, but not limited to, the site and building dimensions, parking, landscaping, and the performance standards. So based on those findings, it is my professional opinion that there is sufficient evidence to demonstrate the proposed project will conform to all applicable sections of the zoning ordinance. Thank you for sticking with me. And I'm on my final piece, which is a finding that the project would be in conformance with the purpose and intent of the West Warwick Comprehensive Plan and the applicable standards of this ordinance. So I'll just quickly enumerate and read I've got about 6 to 7 sections of the comprehensive plan that speak to this project. First, I'll point out comprehensive plan section 1, introduction, community goals for the town. Number 13, land use states the zoning ordinance will prioritize preferred development strategies, including protecting natural, historic, and cultural resources, targeting density in and around village centers and existing town services. So they're speaking about preferred development strategies and locations. Further, the economic development section states employment trends in West Warwick, Kent County were examined and projected into the future. Both West Warwick and Kent County have experienced declines in the number of jobs over the last decade. West Warwick lost almost 2,000 jobs, representing a 20% decline. applicant county lost 5,000 jobs, representing a 5% decline. Both declines are likely attributable to the Great Recession, which began in 2007. If these trends persist, both the town and the county will continue to lose jobs. So clearly, we've already spoken about this project and the potential jobs it would bring. I think that addresses what the comprehensive plan has called out as something that is of great concern to the community. Again, in the economic development section, specifically the economic development issues, it states one of the key issues facing the community is how to deal with a town that is not growing. Unemployment in West Warwick was 4.7% in 2017, above the state average. So I'll just note again, this would raise employment opportunities within the town and new employment opportunities within the town as well. Also, economic development section of the plan. Some undeveloped parcels remain in the West Warwick Business Park located on the southerly end of town off of Quaker Lane and adjacent to Route 95. The park, which includes a mixture of office, industrial, and commercial uses, still has approximately 8 parcels available for development, totaling approximately 70 acres. So the plan does identify these specific parcels in this specific area as targeting for development. And this is one of those parcels. This is one of those large parcels for potential development. Moving along, the economic development goals, policies, and actions section of the plan. Goal number 2 states, selected economic growth and diversification of those economic activities will provide employment and business growth opportunities. Now, this goal has a couple of corresponding policies and actions under it. I'm just going to read those. Corresponding policy, assist owners of industrial land to promote appropriate sites for development in West Warwick Business Park and throughout the town. Again, the plan is identifying this particular zoning district as promoting appropriate sites for development. Corresponding action item to this goal, develop and implement a long-range plan to retain existing businesses and attract new businesses in West Warwick. So clearly there's a focus on this area, this particular district, and gaining and attracting new businesses. Again, goal number 6 in the economic development goals, policies, and actions section, investment by the public and private sectors will stabilize and improve economic opportunities in the town of West Warwick. We've spoken about how the investment of this project would be in the $6.5 to $7 million without land acquisition costs, and that there would be significant tax-based revenue from that project moving forward. And I would just note as a final piece in my review of the comprehensive plan that the subject property at 40 Kias Way is located in the commercial/industrial designated area in the town's future land use map within the comprehensive plan, meaning that the proposed use is consistent with the future land use map and the designation of that parcel as commercial industrial. So based on those findings, it is my professional opinion that there is sufficient evidence to demonstrate the proposed project will be in conformance with the purposes and intent of the West Warwick Comprehensive Plan and applicable standards of this ordinance. And as a final statement, in conclusion of review of all of the 5 separate criteria for a special use permit, it is my opinion as a professional planner that this project has demonstrated sufficient evidence for a successful finding of approval of a special use permit in this case. And I'm happy to take any questions or any members of the other team that might have additional information.
Well, I don't generally ask questions first, but I'm going to go ahead first. Okay, Pete? Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. This is a question for Bill. Hope Bill the owner is still there. I haven't seen him on his face on about a half an hour, so hopefully he's still here, right, Bill?
I'm here. Yep.
Okay, great. A couple of questions. What are your shifts? You run 2 shifts, or do you run 1.5 shifts?
It's normally 2 shifts. So I have guys that come in. I have a small crew that comes in at 6 a.m. Those are the guys that do most of the cutting. Then my drivers start showing up between 7 and say 8 o'clock, and then office staff is between 7 and 9 o'clock. And the rest of the warehouse is the same between 7. They'll work from like 7 to 4. So there's not a lot of activity between 4 and 6 other than my drivers coming off the road. So we basically shut the cash and carry down and the customer pickup down at 4 o'clock. The only activity would be employees leaving and drivers coming back, like I stated, from deliveries. And then my night crew starts I have two gentlemen that come in like 4:30, 5 o'clock. And then most of them come in around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and they'll stay until they're done loading the trucks. Again, it depends on how busy we are. It's seasonal.
Yeah, on the workload. Yeah, I understand, on the workload. But are those trucks already in, at the docks? They wouldn't be coming back at 8:30, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night,
No.
backing in and making noise for potential people who are at the hotel. You kind of see where I'm going with that?
Exactly, but that's one of the things I desire about this building is that I can have 15, 16 loading docks, whereas right now I have 6. So that's the case now. We're moving trucks all night long. But in a building like this, that the way we designed it, I can have trucks when they come off the road, they pull right in, and the truck stays there until it gets loaded again, and it'll stay there till the morning, with the exception of the few. Obviously I have 17 trucks. But, that's why we designed the truck court where we could just pull across the truck court and park them on the other side, which is even further away from the hotel.
Okay, but do most of the trucks, when they come back in, they back into the loading dock, right?
Yes. Every time.
And they get ready to be loaded up again for the next day's deliveries.
Yes. That's what the purpose of the night crew is. They load the trucks during the day, and then the drivers come in and they just leave.
Okay. That's it for me for right now. If you're in the on deck circle, Pete, if you want to, I'm sure you have multiple questions, so fire away.
I do. I'd like to just first ask questions about the plant itself. Looking at the overall view of the property with the parking lots and the building itself, showing the borders on the east side of the building. On my plan, I see a blue or gray block that makes an L shape that's on the southeastern side of the property. Can someone tell me, is that where the storm water basis is?
Jeff?
All right, I had to unmute there. So the box that is on the back of the building, is that what you're referencing?
Southeast corner.
Yes, so that's future expansion of the storage space.
Okay, so this building is a full L-shaped building. It's not rectangular in size.
The initial phase 1 plan is to build the gray rectangle, and that lighter blue or gray would be, potential future expansion as the business may grow, hopefully grows.
Well, I believe as a zoning board, and I'll ask my solicitor, we cannot deal with speculation. Correct, Mr. DeFiore?
Yeah, but you can't deal with speculation, but it doesn't matter. You're approving the use.
I understand that, but
whether he makes it bigger or not.
But there's nothing on this drawing or plan. Are you putting a foundation and you're putting a building there, or is that just going to be vacant for now?
It'll be vacant grass. It'll be landscaped.
I understand. Okay.
Peter, can I make one comment?
Yeah.
It's just going to be a box. There's not going to be any loading docks on that addition if we were to do that someday.
Well, I would think that would be the prudent thing to do. Okay. Secondly, on the same plan that has the entire building and parking, on the northeast corner, I see about 7 or 8 parking spaces there. Is that the entrance to your office facility, what going in that area?
Yes.
Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Correct.
No, it is. No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. That's the entrance to the office.
So the cash and carry is on the northwestern corner, but the office is a
Correct.
vestibule. There's a vestibule where the cash and carry is. Is there a door to go in where that parking is going to be?
Yes.
Okay, I see,
Yeah, the cash and carry has a small loading door.
right, but that's on the west side of the building, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, on the east side of the building, on the northeastern corner of the building, there's parking spaces there. Are those parking spaces, I don't see employee parking anywhere, and you don't necessarily have to have it now. But what would be the purpose of the parking in the back of the building? Unless there's,
That's
an
actually
entrance.
like the front corner of the office.
It's for guests in office parking,
Okay, all right.
visitors.
Well, you may want to consider, maybe because of your huge parking facility, you may want to consider not using that for parking and giving a little bit more protection with noise and so forth and so on to your neighbor to the immediate east, which is the Comfort Hotel. Let me, if I could switch to the map, the plan that has the infrastructure of the inside of the building. Is this a completely refrigerated warehouse?
Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah. So this facility will have a freezer component, a cooler component, and a refrigerated dock. And also the large storage space is dry storage.
Ambient
Okay.
temperature.
Refrigeration.
Is
Ambient.
the dry storage area is where we see what seems to be cubicles or shelving? Would that be accurate?
Yeah, those are racks.
Those are racks.
Yes.
Okay.
pallet.
What's that, please?
Those are pallet racks.
Pallet racks. I know it well. Okay.
Yes.
What is the purpose of your pallet racks?
To store product.
Non-refrigerated product?
Correct.
So I'm drawing a little bit of a blank, gentlemen. I come from the industry myself.
It's a different, we're a distributor, Peter. We are not a retailer. We store product.
I understand that. I understand totally. If you, are you going to be storing meat or cheese or fish or beef
Everything, yes.
from this non-refrigerated pallet rack area?
No.
Not in there. There's part of
There's a
the
freezer and there's a
building is
cooler.
refrigerated, part of the building is freezer, and most of the building is dry. So like the paper goods, the chemicals, the rice, the oils, they go in that pot there. That's the ambient temperature. And then the beef, pork, chicken, and all the seafood that will go in the refrigerated and the freezer portion of it.
Okay, so you're going to be selling dry good products on a wholesale level, which would include grains, everything and anything that can be non-refrigerated.
Have you ever been to
palletized in
Have you ever been
boxes,
to Restaurant
bags,
Depot?
etc.
Have you been
I'm
to
sorry?
Restaurant Depot? Have you been to Restaurant Depot?
Yeah.
All right, it's the same.
I'm very familiar with the process. I'm very
Yeah,
familiar
so
with the process.
It's,
I
essentially,
was
it's
an
going to be similar.
operations manager for a warehouse palletized facility. I'm also a former store manager from a supermarket chain. I understand the process. I didn't necessarily know, reading all of your information, all the narrative, that this much of your operation is in dry goods. I do see the processing plant, and
Yeah.
please don't misunderstand.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that the applicant is coming to West Warwick for his facility. I think this could be a very great application for your company, for the town of West Warwick, and all involved. I'm just trying to get more of an idea of specifics that unfortunately that haven't been presented to us, and that I see as a that I feel obligated to somewhat bring up. So
Yeah, but Pete, one of the biggest questions has been the noise issue, not inside the building, not necessarily
Mike,
what is
if
going
you
to go
would allow
inside the
me,
building of the
that
company.
that may be one of your. It is an issue, but there's many issues involved. Many issues involved.
Well, I mean,
Oh.
the gentleman's been in business since like 1932. He's right on Bath Street. Been there for a long time. He's looking to expand his business.
Michael, please don't speak for the client. I know where this business is. I know where the business is. That's
Okay.
not the problem. I'm trying to bring out some issues that I have not been made aware of. As far as the amount of processing beef, chicken, pork, are you dealing with fish at all, sir?
Very little bit of fish, yes.
Very little fish.
Both
Okay.
fresh and frozen.
So for the most part, you're bringing in hindquarters or smaller
We don't
product.
bring. No, Peter, we don't bring any hanging beef in anymore. It's all gone.
Okay, well,
So everything's in boxes now.
it's in boxes, and you're breaking the boxes down again.
To pieces, yes.
So
Like-
you're getting the sirloin out. You're getting the top rounds out.
Right, but obviously it's a box of top rounds and we sell it by the piece.
Right. You're doing much of the processing that a supermarket would normally do. Would that be accurate?
No,
No.
we
Okay,
don't
so tell me-
98% of my business, the product comes in the door and it goes out the door. The processing.
understand. That's all by order.
So it's not, we're only taking, like, for example, Mohegan Sun, right? They order 8-ounce tenderloin steaks. So I take a full box of tenderloins, we cut the 8-ounce steaks, we package them, we put them in one of our boxes, and they go on my truck and they get delivered.
I understand. Okay.
But most of it is either bulk in the boxes, or if someone wants a piece of top butt or a piece of sirloin, they get the whole piece, they get the whole thing, and then they process it at their retail location.
Okay.
Or restaurant.
You mentioned packaging, but basically you're not are you cryovacuuming the
Yes.
product as you're breaking it down?
Yes, we cut it, then we cryovac it.
You cryovac it. Okay. All right. Are you dealing with any packaging of cold cuts, or are you dealing with
No, we don't cut cold cuts or anything like that.
You don't
We
do
do
cold
ground,
cuts
we
at
do
all?
some ground beef. We do some ground beef, and we do a lot of portion stuff.
Right, okay. Do you sell the ground beef and pork, or you sell it in the sleeves, or?
And we put them in bags. Now, we also have, just so you guys are aware, we do have the USDA inspector on site 3 times a day.
Okay,
So
great.
we're federally inspected. Obviously, we have a hazard plan in place for both seafood and in the meats. It's two separate things, because the FDA actually regulates seafood and the USDA regulates beef, pork, and chicken.
Okay. Well, I know when you guys came up to zoning for a short time when you were there, I mentioned rendering. So you don't have a rendering service that comes in, because for the most part, all of the product that's coming in is pretty much pre-trimmed before you even get it.
Well, yes and no, but we do have some trimmings. And what happens with the trimmings is we put them we keep them in the warehouse in a refrigerated dock, so they never spoil. But we put them in an insulated container, and then once a week, we have a rendering company from upstate New York. They come down and they put it on their truck and take it away. So it never has an opportunity to smell anything up, because it's always inside and it's always refrigerated.
Okay. Now, who am I speaking to? Am I speaking to the owner?
Yeah, this is Bill.
Bill. Okay, Bill. Good. Yeah, sounds good. So all your rendering is under refrigeration until it's taken out.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Air filtration system of your processing unit. That's something in regards to now smell. I haven't got to noise yet, but Tell me about your
There's really no smell involved, so we don't have any air filter. It's just refrigerated. That processing room is refrigerated to 45 degrees.
Okay. All right, and repackaging, again, it's from a somewhat of a larger, everything comes in cryovac. Would that be accurate?
Yes,
Okay, so you go from larger cryovac to smaller cryovac.
correct.
Okay. All right, I've just on one other question at this time regarding the layout. Have you been to planning at all, or are you starting with us and then going to planning?
We were told by by Mark, the town manager,
There
that
is
we
no
cannot have to
need.
go to planning.
There is no need for them in planning.
Okay, very good. Okay. Trucking, we all mentioned trucking. We can't, we can't do much about trucking. The only thing that we can do, you've done the best thing by putting it on the west side of the building. The operation, the hours of operation is the only thing that may have somewhat of a hindrance, but I think that can be somewhat determined or negotiated so that it does not cause a problem.
Is that a restriction of the park itself?
No, it could be placed on, but for an individual business coming into the park. I don't think that there's going to be a problem for the most part. Most of your trucks would come into the building, even if it's coming from halfway through Connecticut or New York or New Hampshire or whatnot. Probably you wouldn't be coming back until, I'm thinking, 8, 9 o'clock the latest. Would that be fairly consistent?
On the very rare occasion. I mean,
yeah,
that happens very infrequently. Maybe on a breakdown, if you broke down that day, you'd be getting
yeah.
back then.
I
But for
understand.
the most part, they're back before 6 p.m.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't foresee a problem myself, even for noise. I mean, we have decibel levels that we can get our fire department to come in and help us out with. They have the decimeters for us, but I think you've answered pretty much all of my questions. I just have one other note specifically here. One of the papers that were provided to us, and this is not accurate because the date on this is 9/11/2019. You had an outstanding tax of $14,424. So I know that that would have to get made current. It's probably not that now.
For who? I have no outstanding taxes.
Okay, that's probably what I thought. As it was probably the fourth quarter tax for whatever reason for
the state,
for the town of
the
West
city, or
Warwick.
the state.
No, it's town of West Warwick.
I had outstanding taxes.
You may be referring to the owner of the property. We're not the owner.
Hold on. Let me see if I can find the page where that proceeds. It gives the account number. It does not have a name on it. I'm sorry. It's probably Keys Associates?
Yeah. So
Keys Partners. It's probably Keys Partners.
Yeah, I don't own land in West Warwick yet.
Yeah. Okay. Well said. No problem. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Any other questions, guys? Or ladies, or Amy?
I'm good.
Speak now. Never
I
hold your
never
peace.
have any questions by the time Peter's done.
I have one really quick thing. And it goes back to Mike's point earlier about the loading docks. I see the additional parking for 30 more trucks, which obviously is going to be, it's an idea for future growth, but would those trucks be moving back and forth to the loading docks throughout the night if it were to get to that size and that capacity?
They would be. They'd be going from the loading dock to across the
way. So they'd be moving at night at some point. Okay.
Yeah, if I was to grow that much, that would be deemed necessary. And if, just to make a further point, I've actually reached out to the owners of the hotel, and I even suggested and offered that they could use part of my truck parking court to get some of their auto transports off the street. That I noticed that they, the guys coming out of Quonset, they use that hotel frequently for overnighters, but they
Okay.
park on the street. And I even offered to say, hey, listen, if you want to let them park in my parking lot, I don't have a problem with that. So I've done everything I can to try to be, accommodating. I just want to make a point. I do understand their concern. I'm not oblivious to what they're saying, and as Tommy DePriest said, they are in the business of sleep. I get it. But this is also in an industrial park. It's a business park. So there's got to be some kind of compromise here, if I'm not mistaken.
And it's part of
Bill,
our
do you ever-
job
do you-
to make that happen.
Bill, quick question for you. Do you get any other trucks into the facility besides your own trucks
Well,
that might stay overnight?
To stay overnight, no.
Oh, okay. Okay. So they come in, they drop off, they hit the road.
Yes.
I mean, not your own trucks. Obviously, your own trucks are making deliveries and they're coming back by the end of the day, right? Obviously.
Yes. Yep.
So it's
And then
all,
throughout normal hours of operation, the deliveries are coming into you throughout the course of the day.
Yes.
But I just
What
asked
do you deliver
another
to, Bill?
question.
Who do we deliver to?
Yeah, what do you deliver to? How far out do you go? In Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, New York.
We go out to up to New Hampshire, the southern part of New Hampshire. We go to Hartford, Connecticut, and we do out to like the beginning of Cape Cod.
Okay. So the New Hampshire, that's like a 2 or 3 hour one way and 2 or 3 hour back.
It's we try to do like 2 hours circumference from Providence right now.
Okay. Just curious on that one. Peter,
We do a
anything
lot-
else?
We do a
I'd
lot
just
of-
like to ask another question.
Yep, go ahead.
Excuse me, but back to the owner. Would you share an approximate amount of percentage of business between your dry food operation and your meat processing?
Oh, like I stated before, it's my processing is no more than 5% of my business.
I'm sorry, you say that again?
It's no more than 5%. It's more like 2 to 3% of my overall business, from my cutting operation.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the 90, between 95 and 98% of what I do is in and out. We never
Dry
really have
goods.
to touch it.
Mostly dry goods.
Or dry goods and proteins, beef, pork, and chicken.
Right, I understand. Yeah. I want one other suggestion. When you get big enough that you're going to use that area for your extra trucks, you might consider bringing in a tender truck. It's a lot quieter to take the trucks in the back row and back them in. It's a much smaller truck. It does the same thing.
True. Yep. You mean to
You
move
know
them
what-
around the yard?
You know what I'm referring to, right?
Yeah, they move the trailers around the yard with that
Yes,
one
it's a-
particular truck. Yep.
It's a trailer, it's a yard tender, a truck, yeah. All right, gentlemen, thank you.
Any other questions from anybody, comments, anything like that? Okay. Al, do we have any other,
I
Say again,
don't
Pete?
know. I know I saw Attorney Landry. I don't know whether he's got any questions.
okay.
Yes, thank you. Have I unmuted?
You're on,
Yeah,
Bill.
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, William Landry. I'm an attorney with Blish and Kavanaugh in Providence, and I represent the hospitality investments. This lot, obviously, as you see on the plan, surrounds the Comfort Suites Hotel on 2 sides. And as has been mentioned, my client's business is sleep. People go there for peace and quiet, and very much of that will overlap the activities that are taking place in this very large proposed development. They're starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, they go to 11 o'clock or midnight. It's very vague about what's happening, but we know there's active loading of trucks at 16 different loading docks at that time. And granted, they're on the other side of the building, but this is all in very, very, very close proximity. There are no buffers, no vegetative buffers. We're looking at 128 other parking spots, 30 spots for box trucks without a real understanding of how they factor into this. And it's going to get a lot bigger. The plan is to expand by 50% within the next few years. So this is going to be a very, very major operation. It's a very big project, and we hope that this applicant is successful and can create a development here and a plan with conditions that will make it compatible with a Comfort Suites and a large hotel that is in the business of peace and quiet. Now, and a lot of information has been presented, but it's only been an hour's worth of presentation. And it's the presentation that is supposed to come on the back end of a project like this, not at the front end. The ordinance, we respectfully believe, and it speaks for itself, but it's very clear that non-residential projects, and this is a non-residential project, that are not by right projects, meaning they require a special use permit or a variance like this. They're not conditionally permitted. They don't automatically comply with all of the requirements of the zoning ordinance. They require this type of hearing at the end of the process to determine whether in fact they do comply with the 4 major standards that the planner has presented tonight. So they're not by right uses, but the ordinance contemplates
Bill, excuse me, if you're going to development plan review, no, that's done. The town planner issued his order. It's not required. That's not coming before the board.
Well, I think I have an opportunity to explain to the board, with all due respect, Mr. DiFiore, what our position is on what the correct process is. And the ordinance specifically says that process has to take place before the special use permit is heard by the zoning board.
I'm sorry, Bill. You had your opportunity to present your case to the town planner. You did not do so. The town planner issued his ruling that there is no development plan review required. The matter is over. That is not before this board. The board is hearing the case. There is no development plan review in this case. If you have an argument with that, you can bring it elsewhere, but not to this board.
Well, I want to reserve my right to do that. And also, the town planner is not the zoning officer. He doesn't decide what's in the zoning ordinance and what the zoning board can do. So I did submit a written submission. He may not have agreed with it, but that submission is taken squarely from the zoning ordinance. And I think it would be very unfortunate.
Yesterday.
Pardon me?
You submitted it yesterday.
It was submitted on Monday. It's 3 pages.
Yes. Bill, I sent you an email 4 months ago, or whenever it was, asking you to get your report in. You agreed to do it at the February meeting. I'm sorry, Bill, as far as the board is concerned, Mr. Landry can present his case, and when he's done, it'll be in the record, but you ought to take no action on it.
Yeah, well, I will make it compact. It's no different than what we presented back in February, that development plan review has to take place before an application for a special use permit is considered by the planning board. I don't know how the town planner can make that language disappear, and it applies to anything that's not automatically already in compliance with the zoning ordinance, or anything that could possibly be a use conflict or present some kind of an adverse impact. And that, by very definition, is an application for a special use permit. and the ordinance specifically describes a special use permit. Now, the owner has said that he's willing to do all kinds of things and sit down with the applicant, with the neighbors. I mean, when is that going to happen? That's a planning process that should be between the applicant and the planning board. What happened here in an hour in a very fastly presented segment by a planner should take 3 nights.
I never said that I'd sit down with them. I already did.
Before the planning board, which is their function. Now, we can agree to disagree, but I think I have a right to state my position clearly, and I have done that.
Fine, and as my advice to the zoning board is that he stated his position. His position has been ruled on by the town planner. There is no requirement in this matter for a development plan review. If Mr. Landry is dissatisfied with that, he has remedies available. Zoning
I have
board,
a question.
the zoning
Mr.
the
Chairman, I
zoning
have a
board
question.
is not to take that into consideration.
That's fine. Does anybody else have any questions for the applicant or the other two people who have spoken on this matter?
I have a question for Al DeFiore.
Fire away, Pete.
Mr. DeFiore, knowing that this is not going to planning for their specifics to put everything, the trim on top and so forth and so on, is it in our purview of making specifications regarding buffers to be provided by the applicant?
Yes.
Okay. See, I would think that the applicant is probably going to do that, but that's my conjecture. Spending a lot of time in the business park as I had before, months, more than a year with the casino, dealing with buffers and fences and berms and everything else. It's something that needs to be documented rather than not.
What are you proposing, Pete?
Peter, let me, at this point, if you are considering adding stipulations, and if you feel that those stipulations need some thought, as opposed to, off the top of your head saying, we want 17 arborvitae along the east boundary, the zoning board has the authority, has the right to close the public hearing and reschedule the meeting to date and time certain for purposes of discussion and ruling only. So that if you felt that you have stipulations, but you want to give them some thought, I'm just putting this out, telling you what you have the authority to do, that you could continue this meeting to July, I believe it's 29th. And at that time, the meeting would be opened up strictly for purposes of a motion, discussion on the motion, and a vote on the motion.
And any stipulation could be added at that time.
Yeah, in other words, you would close your public hearing tonight. You would continue the meeting to July, I think it's 29th. And at that time, Mike would open the meeting solely for the purpose of a motion to approve or deny the special use permit, discussion on the motion, and then a vote. And during that motion, stipulations could be added to the motion.
Al,
But there'd be no testimony. But Al, there'd be no testimony. There'd be no testimony next month if we did go through with this.
Right.
You will close your public hearing tonight, and at the next meeting, it will begin with a motion to approve, deny stipulations, discussion on that motion, and vote on the motion. There will be no public discussion of any kind.
I very much personally, I would like to see that happen. I don't know how the other board members feel.
Pete, is that something you're, let me just ask you, this is an inter-committee question, I guess. Is that something that you're going to walk around the property and kind of take a look at the, kind of look at the
Well,
plans and kind of look at the, I mean, I know you know the area very well. You're the councilman up there, so we know you know the property very, very well.
I know all the property very well. I walked the property when
I'm sure you did multiple times.
Okay, the process then that I think Peter's looking for is a motion to close the public hearing, a vote on that motion, a motion to continue the matter to, I believe it's, hold on, let me check. To July 29th at 7 PM in the town hall, et cetera, for purposes of motion to approve or deny, discussion and vote only.
Mr. Fiore? I apologize.
Yep.
Before that vote.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Before that vote is
We
taken.
thought you left us for a minute.
I just wanted to, we have Jeff on the phone. He is familiar with the plans. And maybe he can speak to whether there are already buffers there, or at least some input from him in terms of what you might consider before you close the hearing.
I'm sorry, Mike, the council.
Yeah, you kind of broke, Chris, you kind of broke up.
No,
You're breaking up. Can you say that again? Come again, please?
Yeah, so before you close, before you take that vote, but because we have Jeff Pratt, who's on the phone from CMC, who has spoken to the buildings, he can speak. If we could just speak briefly to what is there for a buffer and what also may be in line or you might consider. And if you're going to go out to the site, that's fine, but maybe some input from him now, because he's got some, if he's capable of doing it,
He has some thoughts on the matter, sure.
Mr. Pratt, you're still under oath.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I would just say, Chris, to your point there, there is some existing landscaping you can kind of see in the landscape area between the hotel parking and the property line that does exist. It will be our intent to have a landscape plan put together during the detailed design process. So, I think we can make reasonable accommodations that will fit everyone's request.
I will throw out a suggestion here to try and avoid any open meetings conflicts, and I direct this to Chris and to Bill. If and it's strictly a matter of trying to work things out. If between now and the continued meeting, Peter or whoever has stipulations, if he would send them to me, I would then forward them to council. That way, in my opinion, and council, if you disagree with me, I think we would avoid any open meetings violation with Peter talking to Mike, or that any intercommunication among the board itself. It would be strictly communication between council, and if there's an agreement or disagreement, I could then report it in my report to the zoning board. I throw that only out as a suggestion, and would like to, if the board doesn't mind, have Bill and Chris comment on it.
I think it's a good suggestion.
So we don't have an objection to that. I think that it makes sense. I think that it gives us some level of input as well.
And it would all, and my feeling is that it would also give me the opportunity. Let's assume for the moment that it's Peter who submits to me his proposed stipulations. I get them, and I know Peter will get them to me soon. I could then get them to you gentlemen, and you know, if Bill wants a 10-foot arborvitae and you want a 6-foot, maybe we could agree on an 8-foot. You know, so.
If that's the biggest problem, that's easy.
No, I'm just trying to think of, to resolve the issue.
That sounds good.
Okay.
And those arborvitae's grow quick too.
There's another buffer for noise.
Mike, I believe at this point, a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay,
So
we're all
moved.
awake now. We're all awake right now. We need a motion to end the public hearing. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Let's second.
I'll second it. Okay, all in favor?
Roll call,
Aye.
roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call. Aye. Okay.
Alan Warwick,
Yes.
Peter Kelsey,
Yes,
Richard Banks,
Yes.
Justin Tucci,
Yes.
Michael McPhillips.
Yes. Okay, so now we're gonna,
Mike, let me read in
Yep.
the information.
I'm sorry.
I would suggest a motion to continue the matter to date and time certain of July 29 at 7 PM in the town hall of the town of West Warwick or by Zoom webinar, depending on executive orders of the governor of the state of Rhode Island and the town manager, town of West Warwick, for the sole purpose of making a motion to approve or deny the application, submit any stipulations, discussion and vote thereon.
okay, that's very long-winded.
So
what Al
moved.
just said, I can't repeat that. You
Can I
can't.
ask-
So moved. So
Can I ask-
So moved. There you go. Okay, good. Okay.
Before I do have some questions for Al first. What if we are in favor of moving the petition tonight without any additional stipulations?
Then you can vote the motion to continue down and make a motion to decide.
Okay, and then as a follow-up to that, if the motion to continue passes and we're not in favor of the stipulations that are proposed next month?
You vote them down at that time.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Well, Alan, you all set?
Yes.
You're good? Okay. Okay, Paul, you want to do a roll call?
Who seconded that? Anyone? Motion to continue?
I did. I second it.
Okay. Alan Warwick,
Yes.
Peter Kelsey,
yes,
Richard Banks,
Yes.
Justin Tucci,
Yes.
Michael McPhillips.
Yes. Okay, guys, get your walking shoes on and walk over the building and see what stipulations you want to have made.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
Al, are we ready to go on to the next? We're ready to hit the next petition, right, Al?
Yep.
Okay.
last petition, last.
Last petition.
Last.
All right.
You're
Petition
looking-
number 2020-4.
Mike,
Yes,
can I
sir.
propose like a 5-minute break?
Sure. I'll
Recess,
second that. As
5
long as
minutes.
our stenographer's okay, we can take like a 5 or 10 minute break and be back at like, I don't know, 5 past 9, 8 past 9, 10 past 9, something. Is that okay? Is that okay with everybody?
He looks excited. All right, yeah, we'll do that.
Thank
Is that
you.
good? That's okay? Perfect. We'll see you guys in about 10 minutes.
Hey, Mike, you're lucky. You got Cronin instead of Brunero.
What's that?
I said, you're lucky. You got Cronin instead of Brunero.
Oh, is that good or bad?
It's
We're gonna find out. We're gonna
Good,
find
we'll find out
out.
in a few minutes, huh? Okay. All right, we'll see everybody in a few minutes.
I stopped it. Can you hear me?
I can now. I can.
Is John back yet?
Came back yesterday.
Chaos in the office already?
He showed up in flip flops and a golf shirt. You know, regular stuff. Good to see him though.
Who's that? You
Why?
guys talking about John?
Yeah, back in
Talking about
town.
my high school graduate?
Yeah. He's in town for the summer now.
John and I went to kindergarten together too.
He really
Al.
couldn't decide what to do, yeah.
Tom, don't take too long. Short and
Oh,
getting tired.
You got the
Okay.
word from the boss.
I did. I'll keep it brief.
Nice and
Everybody-
short.
Paula, how much do you like doing this?
I hate it. I don't mind doing it. I hate the minutes. That guy was talking too much. I lost track.
And Paula doesn't like anything new.
I don't like the Zoom either.
Didn't you always want to be in the movies?
Oh, I don't like being on camera.
Everybody involved with my project shows up with my name on the bottom. I'm not quite sure why that happened, but
What?
all the
Oh,
screen,
car plot?
they all say Tom Cronin car plot. Not sure why.
I don't know.
I think, did you all use the same link? Because the links are individual to each of us.
Yeah, I'm really not sure.
This is my husband's iPad, but my name is showing.
Star six, okay. Well, I'm unmuted, okay. Thanks.
Mike,
Al, I think that's an oxymoron that they say that attorneys they'll be brief.
no, attorneys submit briefs that are over 100 pages long.
Yeah, that's right. They're not brief. They submit briefs. There's a big difference.
I know, I have to read them all day long.
The name of a movie too.
Sorry about that, Mr. Cronin. I'm only kidding. You know that.
That's all right, Mike. They call me
You've been
Dostoevsky
before us
around
enough.
there.
You've been before us enough times, so it's, you know what I mean.
He's used to the abuse.
That's not a
You're
problem.
like a regular.
You know what you're bringing up that bothers me is I probably passed the bar before Amy was born.
Nice.
That's going to hurt.
I'm not going to use facts and figures out because you might be right.
My downfall was one day when I was walking out of the office with a briefcase that was battered. And my secretary said to me, "Why don't you get yourself a new briefcase?" And I said, "Because this one is sentimental." And she's not going to briefcase me sentimental. And I told her that the day my father dropped me off at law school, he bought me that briefcase. And she said, "And when was that?" I said, 1961. She said, "Your briefcase is older than I am." So I got rid of it.
Al, my mom was born in 64.
I passed the bar at 64.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm the last one back.
Hey, welcome back, Rich.
If everybody's back, I'm going to make the request. Anybody does have any stipulations on that last matter, please email them to me so that I can put them as you want them and get them out to the other attorneys as soon as possible.
Like before December 28th.
Paula.
We waiting on Peter? Peter's not back yet.
I'm here.
He's here.
Yeah.
Peter
We're
here?
all here.
I'm
Is
here.
everybody here? I see you, Alan. I see you, Rich. I see you, Justin. I feel like a romper room over here.
Am I mic on or mic off?
You're
Yeah,
on.
your mic on. We can hear you,
on.
Pete. We can hear you loud and clear, buddy.
All right, well, that's good.
Okay, we're ready to start back up again. Do I have to say the time and date and all that jazz, or we can just go forward?
Just go forward.
Okay, thanks. Okay, petition number 2020-4. Applicant at Keys Storage LLC. Owner CBWI LLC. Premises 3 Keys Way, Plat 30, Lot 91. The applicant is seeking a special use variance to construct a 3-story self-storage building on the foundation of the former Golf Dome adjacent to the current Camp Bow Wow under Section 5 Use Regulation K.6A. Warehousing public requires a special use permit in the BP zone of the zoning ordinance of the town of West Warwick as amended.
Mr. Chairman, I have marked as exhibits. Exhibit number 1, the application dated February 22nd, 2020 with narrative. Exhibit number 2, the application dated April 21st, 2020 with narrative. Exhibit number 3, the zoning certificate. Exhibit number 4, the tax collector report. Exhibit number 5, the abutters list. Exhibit number 6, the radius map. Exhibit number 7, 4 photos of the proposed building. Exhibit number 8, the locus map. Exhibit number 9, a site plan. Exhibit number 10, proof of service.
Mr.
Yeah,
DiFiore,
that's good. Sounds like everything's in working order.
Mr. DiFiore, a question before we start. We were under the impression that the building official, Mr. Asselone, had forwarded to the zoning board a recommendation with regard to parking that we had discussed and evaluated with him. Has the board not received that recommendation?
I did not see it in the file.
I don't think we've got it.
Okay. Well, I'll deal with that when I get to it, but I just, all right. I do need to turn on my screen and share my screen. So if we could enable that for me.
All right. Do you see screen share at the bottom of your screen?
I do, and it's green.
It's green, then you are enabled.
Thank you very much. Okay.
You're welcome.
Despite the labeling on the Zoom call here tonight, we have Chris Dancero. Chris, you wave your hand. You're all mislabeled. Joe Catelli from the developer, Wes Skorsky, the owner of the property here along with me. So I'll just get started. I won't repeat anything that Mr. McPhillips said, and I'll just get going. So everyone knows where the Golf Dome used to be. We don't really need to go through that too much. The proposal is to build a self-storage unit. So my screen sharing says it's disabled, so I'm not really sure why that is, but can you guys see the map I'm putting up here? No.
No.
No, we see you. No map,
Okay.
we see you, bud.
All right, you know what? I'm just gonna keep going, but for some reason it says that my screen sharing is disabled.
Tom, try it one more time.
Okay. All right, can you guys see the map here?
Yes.
Yep, that looks better. Yep, that's good.
All right, so what you're looking at right now is the piece of property described by Chairman McPhillips. The building, the former building around the Golf Dome, now Camp Bow Wow, which you guys evaluated and approved a few years ago. Behind that building, or directly to the west, is the former structure of the actual dome. That land has been divided into two areas, Land Unit B and Land Unit C, and a land condominium. But that B and C make up that entire dome area. You can see the unusual configuration of the foundation and the area that we're having to deal with here. Directly behind Camp Bow Wow, where the tees used to be in the Golf Dome, so to speak, is where we're proposing to build a self-storage facility. It's a conditioned self-storage facility. It's heated, it's air conditioned. The most common brand name you see out there for these things is a CubeSmart. I have, some pictures that we can look at here of a rendering of what this place would look like. So this is what it looks like now. And if you, let's see here, I apologize for my ineptitude with this thing. This is what we're proposing. See the Camp Bow Wow still in the buildings. The area formerly of the golf tees area in the Golf Dome is going to be where this structure is going to go up. It's an unusually shaped structure. The land area where it's going to be built is 39,833 feet. Behind it is a 40-foot wide concrete paved area. And behind that, in Land Unit B, a smaller area of 23,266 feet, we're proposing two 5,400 square foot contractor storage facilities with garage doors. Those areas will be fenced off. The doors will face each other. The lighting will be in the middle, and they'll access Keys Way through that driveway as well. This is Keys Way. This is the turnaround here. So this would be the CubeSmart, to use the vernacular, and then this would be the driveway, and these two buildings here would be contractor storage units. So this property is surrounded primarily by Cox. They have several offices and parking lots to the north, the northeast of this property. There's a wetland directly to the south, and some of the wetland is directly next to the quality project you guys were just talking about. So to give you an area, but it's primarily surrounded by Cox Communications, their building and their property. This is not a high intensity use. The access to the Cube Smart would be from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. by card swipe. There would be an employee on the building site from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. There'd be about 550 to 650 individual storage units in the building, 3 stories, 38 feet in height, with 2 interior elevators, air conditioned and heated, as I noted. You guys are very familiar with Keys Way, but it has, it's a public street, public water, public sewer. It's got a fire suppression system on site. All the exterior lighting will be down. Lighting won't go off the site. I already mentioned that the garage doors on the 2 storage facilities will face each other, and the lighting will face that as well. I asked about Mr. Asselone because this falls under the other paragraph in the parking ordinance. Doesn't fit into any category. And that other paragraph asks you to consult with the building official, and we have done that. There are 77 parking spaces in total for the facility. 48 of those at least would be dedicated to this use. And we met with Mr. Asselone, showed him other projects that the developers had built, and that those parking spaces were adequate. Obviously, we'll have to get his opinion, Mr. Asselone's opinion, to the board and into the record. The limited access to the garage storage is in separation from the project is an important piece of this. And you'll see, besides the fenced area, you see the gate for the contractor storage area right here in the middle of the page on the eastern side, in the middle of that 40-foot strip. So they won't be spreading out around the area. They'll be contained, and their access will be directed over that concrete paved area and towards Keys Way through the parking area that currently exists. I was instructed in the beginning not to go on and on about this project, but Mr. Dancero and Mr. Catelli, the developers, are here to answer any specific questions. They have built other facilities like this, so they have detailed knowledge about the construction and operation. In regard to the special use permit, the proposed storage areas are compatible with neighboring uses of the Camp Bow Wow and the Cox parking lots and facilities. There'll be no detrimental effects on any of those operations. It's not going to create a nuisance to the neighborhood. We're talking about low traffic uses. Maybe Saturday mornings would be the busiest time at these self-storage facilities, and perhaps in the morning on the contractor storage facilities. It's not going to hinder the future development of the town, and it conforms to the zoning dimensional regulations in every other way. It has setbacks, buffering, area requirements. It conforms to the comprehensive plan for the business use in the business park. It is somewhat of an unusual design, but that is not to do with anything that these developers or owners have put in place. Rather, it existed due to its prior use, and they're trying to make the best use out of this unusually shaped project. So with that, that's the basics. I'll open it up to questions from the board. Yes.
Tom, 2 questions. Could you have your 2 witnesses, if they're here just for questions, give me the names and be sworn in?
Yes. I'm going to get off of the screen sharing here, come back. Mr. Dancero, would you first please state your name?
Could you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your name is?
Chris Dancero.
Could you spell your last name, please?
DANSEREAU.
And you're an owner?
Yes, sir.
And the other gentleman, raise your right hand, please.
My name is Joseph.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And it's William
My name is Joseph Catelli, Cateli.
And you're an owner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, are there any questions from the board?
Oh, okay. Didn't know you were done yet, Tom.
Well, I don't want to get on Paula's bad side.
Okay, it's a wise idea. Any questions from anybody? Pete, you generally fire away for us. Go ahead.
Well, kind of a couple of simple questions. What types of item are you, for the most part, going to have customers being stored there?
Mr. Dancero, can you answer that question, please?
So it's self-storage. It's primarily,
Just as you see at a local self-storage area, but it's inside air-conditioned
it's climate controlled.
self-storage.
It's climate controlled. So the
Yeah.
parameters, the specifications on that are
Okay.
typically that they don't allow it to go over 75 degrees in the summer and not
Okay,
over 55 degrees in the
I
winter.
think I just have one other question. I see land unit B and land unit C. Land unit A is the Camp Bow Wow. Is that going to be storage, or will that stay as a animal facility?
That's an existing functional animal facility right now. So it's operational. They're in business.
They're gonna stay too.
And they're staying. And the
And they
owner
are
of that
staying,
facility is
okay.
here too. His name is Wes Skorsky, and he's on this call.
Okay, this is a little bit different than I think what the board has seen. This is a condominium, correct?
It's a land condominium. That's correct, Mr.
It's a
Kelsey.
land condominium. Our board deals with many condominiums, residential. I just wanted to point out that this is a commercial condominium.
That's correct.
Would that be accurate?
That is accurate, yes.
Okay. So it's class use 24 in the town of West Warwick, which is on the same tax base as a commercial or industrial taxed item. A little bit different than what we're normally dealing with residential condominiums.
That's for sure.
That's about all I see, all I just like to bring out. I'm good.
I have a question, sir. What are your sizes? 10 by 10, 10 by 12, 20 by 20? What are you looking at for inside the facility?
Yeah, they vary in size from 5 by 5 all the way up to 10 by 30.
Oh, 10 by 30. Okay. Okay. When you have the contractors, maybe kind of a crazy question because it's late at night, but are you expecting them to come in with their panel trucks, or are they expecting them to come in with their bigger, not necessarily a semi, obviously, but a bigger vehicle than a panel truck?
We've actually set those units up in the back to just be storage, and you can't really choose who may rent or who may not rent, but it's not to be targeted specifically for contractors. It's basically just an extension of the self-storage.
I have one other question.
Okay, that's that kind of. Go ahead, Pete.
Automobiles allowed to be stored there without gasoline?
There are regulations with respect to that, and sir, you are correct. They are not allowed to store anything that's hazardous or flammable, and we discourage vehicles being inside the units themselves. And actually, when we build thresholds so that they're high enough that it makes it difficult for vehicles to get in, but it's not manned full time. So they have to meet the regulations such that they can't have any flammables or anything hazardous.
Yeah, there are some units
Occasionally.
that are made available. Sometimes you might even have to take the gas tank out, but.
Yes, that's
So
correct.
these have a step up, is that what you're saying?
They do. There's a threshold that's built above grade, so full water can't get in, but it's also to try and
Yeah, okay,
deter
thank you.
vehicles from being in.
Tom, did you say that there's two 5,400 square foot units?
I don't see them on the
Does that
plan.
make sense? On the plan? Is that, you showed us that, right?
Again,
Yes.
our intent wasn't necessarily to be two that were exactly 5,400. We were just looking for the 10,800 square feet of storage in that second phase in that back area.
Yeah, that, it's, on the plan, they're shown as identical, 5,400 square foot building set on that angle. In the rear, that's right, we showed that.
And the additional storage would be 1 story only?
That's right. That is correct.
Would the secondary storage, would that be also 10 by 30 or 10 by 10, or would that be a different configuration for different type of people who might want to get in there?
We actually design that as we go along. So we're leaning towards CubeSmart right now as the manager for our facility. And they actually make recommendations to us as we go along as to what may lease best. It's a market type, it's a commodity type situation, and it changes day by day, week by week, month by month. So we look to our managers to basically figure out what the best sizes are, what the best maintenance is.
Oh, okay. So does that mean that you'd probably, as I like to say, I was just pointed out to us that you might have 3 different facilities, 2 5,400s and one, the larger facility. Would you build a larger facility first and then build the other after that? Am I making sense on that question?
Yes, that's correct. You're correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions, guys, ladies, commentaries?
I did want to ask about, you're using the existing foundation that I guess is left over from the Golf Dome?
Correct. That's our plan.
Okay, and has that been, I guess, inspected or checked over and approved as far as being capable of supporting that new structure?
Yeah,
I mean, there wasn't a lot to the Golf Dome. It was mostly air.
Yes, so you're correct about the Golf Dome being just a fabric structure. But I actually have the drawings from when the Golf Dome was originally constructed. And that foundation for the Golf Dome is enormous, basically. It's for uplift, not necessarily for bearing or for down pressure. And the wall of that foundation is approximately 3 feet wide by 6 feet deep. And it's a continuous loop around that whole shape that used to be the Golf Dome. So I have consulted with structural PEs, and although we haven't done final testing yet, I have an inclination that it's going to be approved for structural.
The building official will have to approve it anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
On that subject, I have a question for Chris. You mentioned Bob Asselone and parking spaces. Has he given you an approval, even though it hasn't gotten to the zoning board yet? Chris?
So Al, we submitted a written request to Bob. He asked us for some follow-up information from some of the other facilities. We provided him that follow-up information from some of the other facilities, and he indicated to us that he was satisfied, and we understood that he was going to make a recommendation to the board at our request. Obviously,
the only reason I ask is that to try to expedite matters, that if the board should vote to approve this, I might suggest to the board that it be subject to approval by the building official for the parking stipulations.
I can add to that just a little bit if I may. We do have, Joe and I have both talked to Bob Asselone and communicated via email. And Bob Asselone asked for a couple of examples of what we had done in the past. So I picked a project that we just recently completed in Wakefield of similar size, and a project that we finished about a year ago in Cranston of similar size, and showed him how the calculations were done by the respective civil engineers on those projects. And then he asked how many units there would be in the proposed facility here in West Warwick. I told him 625, and he gave a verbal approval that he was good with the 48 parking spots.
I understand that. That's why I'm just saying, so that it does not get held up for him to submit his written approval to the board. If the board sees fit, and I have no say with it, if the board sees fit to approve it, I'm recommending to the board that it be approved, subject to the submission by Bob of the statement stating that he approves the parking.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
I'm all set, Mike.
I guess
sir.
that answers no. I don't hear anything. I guess that means no. Okay, first we're gonna make a motion in the public hearing part.
I'll make a
Mr.
motion to
Chairman.
close.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close the motion to close the public hearing.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion,
No,
internal
roll call.
discussion.
Roll call to close.
No.
Peter Kelsey,
Al, wait a minute, hold on a minute, before you go ahead, hold on a minute, Paul. Wait on one sec. Al, what was that stipulation you wanted us to put down?
No, this is just, you're just closing. You need a roll call to
Okay.
close.
Okay.
Peter Kelsey,
Yes.
Alan Hort,
Yes.
Rich Banks,
Yes.
Justin Kutu,
Yes.
Michael McPhillips.
Yes.
Motion to approve?
He's approved.
We close. Mr. Chairman,
Any
Yes, sir.
discussion?
I move that we approve the application as presented.
I'll second.
Have a second?
Subject to.
Are we putting the
Subject to
stipulation for the
stipulation.
parking in there?
Subject to the stipulation put forward by the solicitor.
I second.
I hear
that.
a second? Okay. Is that you, Justin?
Yes.
Okay.
Peter Kelsey,
Yes.
Alan Hort,
Yes.
Richard Banks,
Yes.
Justin Kutu,
Yes.
Michael McPhillips.
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a
Yes.
motion to
Yes.
adjourn.
We need second.
Mr. Chairman, my cat Sarah seconds the motion.
That's good. We're glad Sarah seconds the motion. Second the motion. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you.
Nice job, Mark. Nice job.
Have a
Mike.
good one, everybody. Have a nice night now.
Take
You
it
too.
easy, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Joe Hool.
You're very welcome. Have a good night, everyone.
Take care.